We're going to stand, face Jerusalem, and open up. Also, please remember to mute your cell phone. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Praise the Lord. For he is good. For his mercy endureth forever. Praise the Lord God of Israel. For he is good. For his mercy endureth forever. The Lord of lords, the King of kings, the mighty one of Jacob, and there is no other. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Today's scripture reading comes from Isaiah 50, verses 5 through 7. The Lord God hath opened mine ear, and I was not rebellious, neither turned away back. I gave my back to the smiters, and my cheeks to them that plucked off the hair. I hid not my face from shame and spitting. For the Lord God will help me, therefore shall I not be confounded. Therefore have I set my face like a flint, and I know that I shall not be ashamed. Again, I just read Isaiah chapter 50, verses 5 through 7. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading, hearing, and doing of his word. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen, amen, amen. All right. First, I want to say praise to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Peace to everyone who is here, physical and spiritual Israel, as well as those who are watching live on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you may be on this blessed Sabbath day. Peace to you as well. And happy Sabbath, everybody. Happy Sabbath. Right. It is very good, and it is an absolute pleasure to stand before you all here today. I'm so glad to be back home. Had a nice trip in LA. Everybody in LA sends their love. It's our sister class, so we're all pretty close. They all wanted to make sure I brought their love back with them. We had a good time. It was a good feast day, good Sabbath day. I feel like I went down there and learned as much as maybe I took down there. So, it was a good trip. And always good to be back home before your smiling, shiny faces. All right, so today's lesson, this is part 3 of the series, Holy Things. We're focusing on the Tabernacle. And I thought, foolishly, that I was going to be able to finish this up today with the Tabernacle, but as I'm going through, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of scripts. So there's a whole lot to be covered still yet. But today, we've already done the previous 2 lessons. We did all the hard work. We did almost all the hard work. So now we just kind of let the book tell the story. We're just going to kind of follow the tabernacle to where it ends up. We're going to follow it to its destruction, and we're going to see what happens with it. But a lot of times when you are telling a story, the most entertaining or the most interesting parts of a story are the human interest, the characters involved. So we're gonna see the characters involved, some of the characters involved today, and we're gonna see see what transcribes. And what I do with this lesson is I tried very hard to put everything in chronological order, so that you can follow the story and you can know how things transpired. Because as you know, the Bible isn't always chronological. Things are chopped up. You got to find a little bit here, you find a little bit there, and that can be very confusing. And so what I've tried to do here is I've tried to straighten all that out, make it smooth so it reads like a story, and you can get some understanding. Hopefully, it'll help you with your understanding. Because Like my brother Fawn always says, timelines. Timelines kill all false doctrine. So once you get an understanding where the timelines are at, a lot of times it'll help, improve increase your understanding tenfold. I know it did for me. So hopefully, as we go through this, you'll get it. And I'm just gonna let this brother. We got a lot of reading. I'm gonna let this brother read through quite a bit. I'm gonna try not to interject much. I'm gonna try not to talk too much. So we'll go ahead and get this thing started. Let's start this thing off. Job 11, and we're gonna pick it up at verse 5. Job 11, and we're going to pick it up at verse 5. And as we go through this lesson, I want you guys to keep in mind that although it's a tabernacle, we're talking a lot about the tabernacle, and we're talking about, talking a lot about it, a lot of different things. But keep in mind that the book is, a lot of times, it means, you can read scripture and there's dual meanings to it. Job 11, verse 6, or verse 5, read that.
But oh, that God would speak and open his lips against thee.
Come on.
And that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom. That they are double to that which is.
So he said, oh, that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom, that they are double that which is. So the scriptures can have dual meanings. They're going to have dual purposes sometimes. Show you a couple different things. So keep that in mind as we go through today's lesson and see where the dual meanings are, where the dual purposes are. Finish that.
Know therefore that God exacted of thee less than thine iniquity deserveth.
Okay, so now let's go to Luke 24. Luke 24. So we understand that the scriptures have dual meanings. Luke 24. Luke 24. We're going to pick it up at verse 44. Verse 44. All right, brother, go ahead.
And he said unto them, these are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled, which were written in the law of Moses, and in the prophets, and in the Psalms concerning me.
So this is Jesus talking to the 10 disciples here, and he's letting them know, he said, these are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you. And he's letting them know that, all the things that are written by the prophets beforehand, all the scriptures, must be fulfilled. Verse 45.
Then opened he their understanding, that they might understand the scriptures.
Then he opened up their understanding that they might understand the scriptures. So as we go through this lesson, our prayer is that the Lord will open up our understanding so that we understand fully and we get some knowledge out of what we read. Let's go to 2 Timothy 2. 2 Timothy 2, verse 7. 2 Timothy 2, verse 7. When you get it, brother, go ahead and read.
Consider what I say. And the Lord give thee understanding in all things.
Consider what is being said today. Consider what is being read to you today. And may the Lord give thee understanding in all things. Understanding doesn't come from me. It doesn't come from the teachers. It comes from the Lord. We hope and pray that the Lord opens our understanding today. Now, with that being said, let us go back now to where we left off. Last time in this series, Numbers 33. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Numbers 33. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. All right, go ahead.
These are the journeys of the children of Israel, which went forth out of the land of Egypt with their armies under the hand of Moses and Aaron.
Okay, so this is the journeys. This is the chronicled journey from the time that Israel left Egypt until the time that they got to Canaan. Verse 2.
And Moses wrote their goings out according to their journeys by the commandment of the Lord. And these are their journeys according to their goings out.
Okay, so pretty much all of chapter 33 is just a log of their journey from city to city. Now I spared you quite a bit of reading in here. You're welcome. And so we're going to skip around. So keep your marker in chapter 33, because we're going to be back and forth out of this chapter quite a bit. Now let's go to Numbers 11 and pick it up where we left off last time. Numbers 11, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. And when we left last time, the people was complaining. The people were complaining. They were murmuring already. Just getting started on the trip, and they're already complaining. Numbers 11, verse 1. Go ahead.
And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, and the Lord heard it. And his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burnt among them, and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. And the people cried unto Moses. And when Moses prayed unto the Lord, the fire was quenched. And he called the name of the place Tabernacle, because the fire of the Lord burnt among them. Okay, so this is where we left off last time. Now this, as you can see in the lesson plan, I've got some timeline notes here. This is 1490 BC when this happens here. This is approximately a year and no more than 2 years. Less than 2 years after Israel comes out of Egypt. Okay, everybody gets that? Less than 2 years. Now this becomes important as we go along to understand some things. So I've tried to make some notes here where necessary to keep you and help you stay on track. So they are leaving Tabernacle. Well, they're in this place they just named Tabernacle, and now we're going to go to Numbers 33 and 16. Numbers 33, verse 16. And we're just going to chronicle the journey here. Numbers 33, verse 16. All right, brother, read that. And they removed from the desert of Sinai and pitched at Kibroth Hattaavah.
Okay, so this place where they just left, they left at Tabernacle, and they are camped at Kibroth Hattaavah, which is outside. It's removed from the desert of Sinai. So they left the desert of Sinai. You know what happened to Sinai? That's where the Lord came down, gave them the commandments and so on, the statutes and all these things. So they've left that area. Now they're going in. They have now pitched at Kibroth Hattaavah. Okay, so now let me make sure I stay on track here. All right, Numbers 11, right? Okay, Numbers 11. Numbers 11. And we are going to pick it up at verse 4. Numbers 11. So what's going on during this time? We're getting to the point where some events are happening, and I want you to know what events are happening as they move from place to place. So now we are in Numbers 11, verse 4. Read that.
And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting. And the children of Israel also wept again and said, Who shall give us flesh to eat?
So let's skip down to verse 10. So they're lusting and they're complaining and they want flesh because they have been eating manna now for a couple of years. And this manna is beginning, it's kind of be a stale diet to them. Go ahead, verse 10.
Then Moses heard the people weep throughout their families, every man in the door of his tent. And the anger of the Lord was kindled greatly. Moses also was displeased. And Moses said unto the Lord, Wherefore hast thou afflicted thy servant? And wherefore have I not found favor in thy sight, that thou layest the burden of all this people upon me?
And see, I couldn't have been Moses. I say it all the time. I couldn't have been Moses. I couldn't listen to all that complaining and bickering all the time. But he was a meek man. He was able to take it. The Lord knows his servants. He knows who can take these things and who can't. Verse 12.
Have I conceived all this people? Have I begotten them, that thou shouldest say unto me, Carry them in thy bosom, as a nursing father beareth the sucking child, unto the land which thou swearest unto their fathers?
So these conversations, these back and forth between the Lord always crack me up. He's like, whose kids are these? Did I have all these kids? They ain't my kids, but you got me taking care of them like a suckling father. Verse 13.
when should I have flesh to give unto all this people? For they weep unto me, saying, give us flesh, that we may eat.
Come on.
I am not able to bear all this people alone, because it is too heavy for me.
So Moses is feeling the burden of having to deal with all these people. It's starting to get to him. It's wearing on him a little bit, as you can imagine it would be. You know, because they continually coming at him with problems. We're talking about, 1 million plus peoples here. Israelites at that, most of them. And Israel is apt to complain a lot. So, and they're in the desert, where it's hot, little water. Yeah, they was complaining. So, skip down to 16.
And the Lord said unto Moses, gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom thou knowest to be the elders of the people, and officers over them, and bring them unto the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with thee. And I will come down and talk with thee there, and I will take of the spirit which is upon thee, and will put it upon them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with thee, that thou bear it not thyself alone.
Okay, so Moses is commanded to go and gather 70 of the elders of Israel, and the Lord is going to have these elders take some of this burden. So he's going to take some of the spirit off of Moses and place it upon these elders. Verse 18.
And say thou unto the people, sanctify yourselves against tomorrow, and ye shall eat flesh, for ye have wept in the ears of the Lord, saying, who shall give us flesh to eat? For it was well with us in Egypt. Therefore the Lord will give you flesh, and ye shall eat. Okay, so you remember, now we started off in this, the people were complaining, and it said that Moses was displeased, and it also said the anger of the Lord was kindled, right? So now he's heard. He said he heard their weeping, and now he's going to give them what they want, right? Everything should be fine and dandy, right? Well, let's see how the Lord gives them what they want. We're at 19. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Ye shall not eat 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, neither 10 days, nor 20 days.
But what?
But even a whole month.
Okay, so you're gonna get flesh for a whole month. Not just 1 day or 2 days, but I'm gonna give you flesh for a whole month. Go ahead.
Until it comes out of your nostrils.
Until you can't stand it no more. So you see the Lord can get fed up with that complaining and that murmuring. Right. He said, I'm gonna give you flesh, all right, until it's coming out your nostrils. Go ahead.
And it be loathsome until
you get sick up and fed with it. Until you never want to see flesh again. Go ahead.
Because that ye have despised the Lord which is among you, and have wept before him, saying, why come we forth out of Egypt?
So you see what that murmuring is like to the Lord? He kind of views that as you despising him. So you should be very careful about that murmuring, huh? Right. Be very careful. Continue. Drop down to 25.
And the Lord came down in a cloud, and spake unto him, and took of the spirit that was upon him, and gave it unto the 70 elders. And it came to pass that, when the spirit rested upon them, they prophesied and did not cease.
So this continued on. The Lord came down, and he gave some of the spirit to the 70 elders that was upon Moses, and some of them prophesied and did not cease. It says, skip down to verse 31.
And there went forth a wind from the Lord, and brought quails from the sea, and let them fall by the camp, as it were a day's journey on this side, and as it were a day's journey on the other side, round about the camp, and as it were 2 cubits high upon the face of the earth.
So he rained down quail in every direction. You could travel a day's journey this way, and there was quail. You go a day's journey this way, and it was quail. And what he said? He said
2 cubits.
He said it was 2 cubits high upon the face of the earth. That's 20 miles. A day's journey in the Bible is about 20 miles. So you had 20 miles in either direction of quail, about 3 feet deep. That's how many quails he brought in. So you definitely was going to get enough flesh for a month to make you sick of it. That's a lot of quail. Now he ain't gonna let it rot. You're going to eat that. You're going to eat that. Verse 32.
And the people stood up all that day, and all that night, and all the next day, and they gathered the quails. He that gathered least gathered 10 homers, and they spread them all abroad for themselves round about the camp.
So that's what was that? 3 homers? 10 omers. 10 omers is about 60 bushels. I can't give you an equivalent of what 60 bushels is. I don't know about that. I had a hard time figuring that out. So somebody wants to look that up and figure that out, you go right ahead. And the people stood up all that day. So that's one day, all that night, and all the next day. So 2 days they were gathering all this quail. That's a lot of flesh. Much more than they bargained for. 33.
And while the flesh was yet between their teeth, ere it was chewed, the wrath of the Lord was kindled against the people, and the Lord smote the people with a very great plague.
Kill some of them graveyard dead, just for that murmuring. See, you got to be very careful. You got to be very careful when you deal with the Lord. Verse 34.
And he called the name of that place Kibroth Hattaavah, because there they buried the people that lusted.
Okay, 35.
And the people journeyed from Kibroth Hattaavah unto Hazeroth, and abode at Hazeroth.
Okay, so after the quail incident, they continued and journeyed from Kibroth Hattaavah unto Hazeroth. Now, how many are aware that this is actually the second quail incident? It's 2 quail incidences. How many people are aware of that? So not being people know that. It's like there was 2 water from the rock incidences. They're 2 separate incidences. A lot of people don't know that. Hold on to that. I can prove it to you. Where we at? Where we going? Numbers 33, verse 17. Numbers 33, verse 17. So the people journeyed from Kibroth Hattaavah unto Hazeroth. Numbers 33 and 17. So let's go to the log of the journey and see what it says. Numbers 33, verse 17. Read that.
And they departed from Kibroth Hattaavah and encamped at Hazeroth.
Okay, so this confirms what we just read in Numbers 11, right? You see how this thing works? You got a log, you got the story that's told, and then you got a log to back it up to help you understand where you are in this journey. All right, so now Numbers 12. Go back to Numbers 12, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. And we're getting some more of the human interest as we move through this journey from Egypt to Canaan. Numbers 12, verse 1. Read that.
And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman. And they said, hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Hath he not spoken also by us? And the Lord heard it. So again, here they are murmuring. Now they're murmuring against Moses, directly picking at Moses. They've gotten, Miriam's gotten Aaron's chest puffed up, and so now they're feeling themselves a little bit, murmuring against Moses. Skip down to verse 6. Oh, 1 through... Huh? 1 through 4. Finish that one up. 12, 1 through 4.
Where are we at? Oh, yeah. I skipped way down. I don't know what I was doing. Okay, go ahead.
Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses, and unto Aaron, and unto Miriam, Come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the congregation.
So, okay, so they're bickering amongst themselves, and the Lord listened in on this, and so now Moses, Aaron, and Miriam get that, hey partner, come out here, let me holler at you for a minute. They get one of them moments now. Come on out here, let me holler at you for a minute. Go ahead.
And they 3 came out. Verse 6.
Skip down to 6. Go ahead.
And he said, Hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream.
So he's talking directly to Aaron and Miriam here. If he said, Hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. Go ahead.
My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all my house.
It ain't with Moses, it's not so. Go ahead.
With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And the similitude of the Lord shall be shall he behold.
He said, I'm going to speak to Moses mouth to mouth, face to face, even apparently. He said, I'm going to speak in dark speeches with him. He said, behold, he shall even behold my similitude. Moses even gets to see the Lord's similitude. That's showing you how the closeness he had with Moses. So so it was a silly thing or a not very wise thing to play around with Moses. The Lord was not pleased about that. Verse 9. Okay, go finish that. I'm sorry.
Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
So how is it when I talk to this man face to face, he beholds my similitude, how is it you wasn't afraid to talk crazy to him? Go ahead, verse 9.
And the anger of the Lord was kindled against him, and he departed.
Come on.
And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow.
So Miriam was scared white. That's what that is. She's scared white. I mean, the Lord put leprosy on her for this. Go ahead.
And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moses, Alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned.
Let's get down to 15.
And Miriam was shut out from the camp 7 days, and the people journeyed not till Miriam was brought in again.
Okay, so Miriam put this leprosy on her. Aaron's going to get his punishment later, but Miriam's got this leprosy on her. And notice that the camp could not move on, or the camp did not continue on their journey for 7 days until Miriam was able to come back in the camp, right? So when we're talking about scriptures being double that which is, you take little life's lessons in some of these things, out of these things. One person stalled out the whole camp from moving. One person's actions. So the life lesson you should gather from that is when you are part of a congregation, you be careful of things you do, because you don't operate on your own. Everything you do sometimes affects everybody else around you. And they say one bad apple spoils the whole bunch, right? So one thing you do wrong might affect everybody in the congregation. So you need to be mindful of that. So 7 days before they could journey on. Now let's go to Numbers 33 again and look at the log. See where they go from here. Numbers 33, and we're going to pick it up at verse 18. Numbers 33 and verse 18. So we left Kibroth-Hattaavah and we encamped at Hazeroth. Now where? Verse 18. Go ahead.
And they departed from Hazeroth and pitched in Rithmah.
Okay, so now from Hazeroth to Rithmah. And I tried to pick out some of the most pertinent ones here, so that for particular reasons here. Hazeroth to Rithmah. I don't know, in some of you guys' in the back of the Bibles, they have those mapped, and they have the Exodus. You might be able to follow along in some of these. In mine, it wasn't real detailed, but I could see some of the main little points that they stopped, the little camps. Okay, so now 18, skip down to verse 35 and read that.
And they departed from Ebronah and encamped at Ezion-Geber.
Okay, so here I skipped some to save some time. And they departed from Ebronah and encamped at Ezion-Geber. And where Ezion-Geber is at the top, where the Red Sea is at. There are there's like two forks of I don't know what you call them. I don't know if they're called seas. They're not called seas. They're called they're called gulfs. They're called gulfs. One gulf goes to the left, and the Gulf of Aqaba goes to the right. And Ezion-Geber is at the very top of that gulf. And the reason why this is significant is because Edom, the land of Edom, borders that. Is right along there. And you're going to need to know that, or it'll help you to know that. Okay, so Ezion-Geber. Ezion-Geber is also the place that Solomon made a port city. a real prosperous port city. Anyway, so where are we at? 35. Okay, so this is the journey from Hazeroth to Kadesh Barnea, and the reason why I'm pointing this out is because Kadesh Barnea is the point where they stop, because the next stop at Kadesh Barnea is the Promised Land, is the land of Canaan. So we're trying to move up to get to Kadesh Barnea. All right. Numbers 10, right? Yeah. Okay. Numbers 10. So we're trying to get you to Kadesh Barnea. Numbers 10. And we're going to pick it up at verse 12. 10 and 12. When you get that, brother, go ahead and read.
And the children of Israel took their journeys out of the wilderness of Sinai, and the cloud rested in the wilderness of Paran.
Okay, so the wilderness of Paran. Okay, I wish I had a big map. I wish we were fancy and had a big map. Okay, so where in those forks where the gulfs go, at the top up here on the right, where Ezion Gaber is, that you had Edom over here, and all of this area is the wilderness. It's a wilderness of. It's a wilderness sin, but what did he just say? I forgot where we at.
At 12, wilderness of Paran.
Paran. Okay, so that part of that is the wilderness of Haran. You're going to see that again. But that also, if you have a map in your Bible, you can see Paran. Paran? Yeah, Paran. Okay. So the cloud rested in the wilderness of Paran. So they came out of the wilderness of Sinai, and the cloud rested in the wilderness of Paran. Numbers 12 and 16. And notice that we are still in the first year. This is the first year that the tabernacle was built. So we're still in that year that the tabernacle was actually built. And this is the first year of their journey in 1490 BC. Okay, so now Numbers 12, right? 12 and 16. 12 and 16. All right, you get that? Go ahead.
And afterward the people removed from Hazareth and pitched in the wilderness of Paran.
Okay, so just two witnesses here. That's what I've done quite a bit here. Okay, so now we are at the pitched in the wilderness of Paran. So they are pitched now in the wilderness of Paran. Numbers 33 and 36. I suspect is probably going to back that up. I don't remember. 33 and 36, read that.
And they removed from Ezion Gaber and pitched in the wilderness of Zin, which is Kadesh.
Okay, so now they removed themselves from Ezion Gaber and pitched in the wilderness of Kadesh, which is Kadesh Barnea. Okay, so we've moved now to Kadesh Barnea. Numbers 13. Numbers 13. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Moving right along, famously here. This is going better than I hoped. Numbers 13, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. And when you get it, brother, go ahead and read.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Send thou men, that they may search the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel. Of every tribe of their fathers shall ye send a man, every one a ruler among them.
Okay, so now, they just to give you a quick overview. Okay, so they left Egypt, they get to Mount Sinai, they get around the general vicinity of Mount Sinai, they build the tabernacle, and from there they have moved up through I forget what the name of that, Kerbos Hatava, and then up to Ezion Gaber, and from Ezion Gaber now up to Kadesh Barnea. Kadesh Barnea now borders, it's the very bottom, the southern border of the land of Canaan, right? Everybody gets that? Everybody understands where they're at? So now all they have to do from where they're at in Kadesh Barnea. All they really have to do is cross over a mountain range, and they are in the land of Canaan. And they did all this traveling in about a year's time. So we're still in 1490 BC, and they have reached the border of their destination, which is the promised land, which is Canaan, the land of Canaan, right? Okay, so now we're at Numbers 13:1, and Moses is sending out spies. The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, send out men, and they will search the land of Canaan. So these spies are going to go out into the land of Canaan. Did you finish that verse?
Verse 3.
Okay, verse 3, go ahead.
And Moses, by the commandment of the Lord, sent them from the wilderness of Paran. All those men were heads of the children of Israel.
Okay, so he's chosen heads of the children of Israel to go and search out this land. Skip down to verse 6.
Of the tribe of Judah, Caleb, the son of Jephunneh.
Okay, so everybody's familiar with who that is, right? Okay, Caleb. So he picks out Caleb as one of them. Skip down to verse 8.
Of the tribe of Ephraim, Oshea, the son of Nun.
Anybody know who that is? Who's that? Who? What'd you say? You think it's Isaiah? Joshua? Anybody else? Joshua. It's Joshua. Oshea is Joshua. Oshea means salvation. That's what Oshea means. It means salvation. So Joshua's name, originally Oshea, the son of Nun, means salvation. Skip down to verse 16 and read that.
These are the names of the men which Moses sent to spy out the land. And Moses called Oshea, the son of Nun, Jehoshua.
Okay, so Moses, he's changing Joshua's name. Now he changes it from Oshea to Jehoshua or Joshua. And Joshua means the Lord is salvation. The Lord is salvation. So we can kind of see, it's kind of prophetic, the beginnings of Joshua here and what the big role that Joshua is going to play. A huge role that Joshua ends up playing. 16. Okay, so yeah, 17. We're going to 24. Go ahead.
And Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said unto them, get you up this way southward, and go up into the mountain.
Come on.
And see the land, what it is, and the people that dwelleth therein, whether they be strong or weak, few or many. And what the land is that they dwell in, whether it be good or bad. And what cities they be that they dwell in, whether in tents or in strongholds.
Come on.
And what the land is, whether it be fat or lean, whether there be wood therein or not. And be ye of good courage, and bring of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the time of the first strike grapes. So they went.
Okay, so Moses sent these guys out with some instructions. Go in and get it. Make a report. Bring back a report. Whether this land be good or bad. Whether the enemy be strong or weak. Whether the land, whether it be fat or lean, whether it be wood or wood there, or whether it's not. And he says, be of good courage and bring of the fruit of the land. And now this is the time of the first ripe grapes. So this is around springtime. This is around when things are ripening up, or a little after spring, I guess. So this is when the time, about time to harvest and gather some things in. So 21.
So they went up and searched the land from the wilderness of Zin unto Rehob, as men came to Hamath.
Okay, so they're searching the land from the wilderness of Zin. The wilderness of Zin, this is just a side note thing. The wilderness of Zin is different than the wilderness of Sin. Zin spelled with a Z, Sin with an S. Two different places. Just keep that in mind. It might help you out. Okay, continue.
22. And they ascended by the south and came unto Hebron, where Ahiman, Shishai and Tamai, the children of Anak, were. Now Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt.
Okay, now we are all familiar with Hebron, right? Everybody knows what Hebron is. That's where Abraham spent some time. That's where he was at. So, and that the proximity of that should be easy to find in relation to Jerusalem. 23.
And they came unto the brook of Eshcol, and cut down from thence a branch with one cluster of grapes, and they buried between two upon a staff. And they brought of the pomegranates and of the figs.
Now, can you imagine
Cluster of grapes.
A cluster of grapes. It takes two people to tote this cluster of grapes. We're talking about a fruitful land, a really fruitful land. Verse 24.
The place was called the brook Eshcol because of the cluster of grapes which the children of Israel cut down from then. And they returned from searching of the land after 40 days.
So they returned from searching of the land 40 days. The total trip was 250 miles up, 250 miles back. They were able to make this trip in 40 days, right? These are key points, 250 miles. So the children of Israel on the other side of this mountain in the wilderness of Paran are, really just a hop, skip, and a jump away from the land of Canaan. They are right there. All they got to do is go over the hill. Okay. We finished that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Verse 26.
26, go ahead.
And they went and came to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel unto the wilderness of Paran to Kadesh, and brought back word unto them and unto all the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land.
Okay, so the spies have they come back after this 40 days? The spies have come back. Verse 27.
And they told him and said, We came into the land whither thou sentest us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it.
Okay, so they're giving the report. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there.
So the children of Anak, and you know what those are. You know what the children of Anak, right?
Yeah.
They were giants.
Right.
Go ahead.
The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites, and the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea, and by the coast of Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it.
See, don't you just love a guy like Caleb?
Right.
He's got all that zeal. It's got to be somewhere that somebody's there to tamp him down a little bit. No, hold on a little bit, Caleb. Pump the brakes just a little bit. But he's ready to get on over that mountain and take that land.
Right.
He's seen that and say, hey, man, I know the Lord said we're going to have that. Let's go on over there and let's take it. Let's do it now.
I want it.
Verse 31.
But the men that went up with him said, We be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we.
But there's some that, hey, don't have that same zeal. Don't have that same courage that Caleb got. He said, hey, those cats over there are swole. We can't handle them. Let's wait a minute here. Verse 32.
And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying,
They brought up what kind of report?
An evil report.
An evil report. When he used the word evil in there, that kind of gives me the idea that they're adding a little bit to the report,
right.
Make it a little bit worse than it should be, because everything else in the land was righteous, right? The fruit of the land looked good, but they're adding. He says an evil report, an evil report. Go ahead.
The land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of a great stature.
What? Is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof? What's that mean? The land eats up the inhabitants? All right. 33.
And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants. And we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so were we in their sight.
So there's giants there. They didn't want to have to deal with these giants. All right. Let's go to Deuteronomy 1. Deuteronomy 1. So what all we're doing here is just telling the story. Just letting the story go as we follow the children and the tabernacle that leads them. Deuteronomy 1, we're going to pick it up at verse 25. 21 and verse 25. All right, brother, go ahead and read.
And they took of the fruit of the land in their hands, and brought it down unto us, and brought us word again, and said, It is a good land which the Lord our God doth give us.
So this is the spies. This is the report of the spies. Go ahead, verse 26.
Notwithstanding, you would not go up, but rebelled against the commandment of the Lord your God. And ye murmured in your tents, and said, because the Lord hated us, he hath brought us forth out of the land of Egypt, to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites, to destroy us.
Okay, so now we get to the part where it becomes murmuring. So now, so you can imagine, discussion is going on. Should we go over there and try to take the land? Should we, no, we can't go over there. Those giants over there, and there's too many. Nah, but we can do it. We got the Lord behind. So it's a discussion back and forth. And now it's to the point where he said in verse 26, notwithstanding, you would not go up, but rebelled against the command of the Lord your God. So the Lord gave them the commandment to go up, and they said no. They apparently rebelled against it. No, we're not going up there. He said, and ye murmured in your tents and said, because the Lord hated us, he brought us out here, brought us forth out of the land of Egypt to deliver us in the hand of the Amorites to destroy us. Really? They believe that after the Lord has done so many things for them, that the Lord just brought them up there to the Amorites to just wipe them out. How your mind gets so twisted sometimes. Verse 28.
Whither shall we go up? Our brethren have discouraged our heart, saying, the people is greater and taller than we. The cities are great and walled up to heaven. And moreover, we have seen the sons of the Anakims there. Then I said unto you, dread not, neither be afraid of them.
See, and this, later on, the Lord, when he's getting the armies together, he starts weeding them out. He starts telling the people, if you're newlywed, newly married, and you're thinking about your home and your wife and all that, he said, don't even go to battle. Go on back home and get that out of the way. If you be faint of heart, he said, don't even come. Just go on and get that out of the way. Because you can see here, a few people with a bad report has got everybody, so they don't want to come and fight. They don't want to stand up for the Lord. They don't want to stand up and do the business of the Lord. Because a few people here with some negative words has got everybody in this uproar. So stand strong when you're standing for the Lord. Stand strong. Be of good courage. Where you at?
Verse 30.
30, read it.
The Lord your God was go up before you. He shall fight for you.
That should be enough. That right there should have been enough. That's all you would have to tell me. I would have been with the business after that. Go ahead.
According to all that he did for you in Egypt before your eyes.
He already witnessed it before, but go ahead.
And in the wilderness, where thou hast seen how that the Lord thy God bare thee, as a man doth bear his son, in all the way that ye went, until you came unto this place. Yet in this thing ye did not believe the Lord your God, who went in the way before you, to search you out a place to pitch your tents in fire by night, to show you by what way ye should go, and in a cloud by day.
So he said, in this thing you would not believe. He said, you wouldn't believe the very Lord who has led you by the cloud, the cloud in the daytime and the pillar of fire at night. This very same person that has led you out of Egypt, you would not believe, he says. All right, so go back to Numbers. Oh, I'm sorry. Where are we at?
Deuteronomy 1. Oh, no, yeah, Numbers 14.
Okay, Numbers 14. No, that's cool. Numbers 14. Numbers 14, we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Now, notice the timeline change here. 1490 to 1451, right? So that's what, 38, 39 years? 39 years, right? All right. Numbers 14, verse 1. Go ahead.
And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God we had died in this wilderness?
So you can see, this is all drama. They're being all dramatic, and there's still, this just shows you the escalation of the rebellion against going up into the land to take it over. Verse 3.
And wherefore hath the Lord brought us into this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey? Were it not better for us to return into Egypt? And they said one to another, let us make a captain, and let us return into Egypt.
They're ready to make a captain and go all the way back to Egypt, back into slavery. And it's not a long trip that they came through. First of all, the Lord took them kind of a roundabout way to get them where they're at, but they would have to go all that way back just because they feared these giants. Go ahead.
Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel. And Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, which were of them that searched the land, rent their clothes.
So Joshua and Caleb, they rent their clothes. You know how they usually do when something, you know, some serious things going on. Rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes. And Moses and Aaron, both of them fall on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel. Verse 7.
And they spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we passed through to search it is an exceeding good land. If the Lord delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which floweth with milk and honey.
So they're begging and pleading with these guys, trying to convince them to go on, to come on with this. Verse 9.
Only rebel not ye against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Fear them not.
So they're pleading, they're doing all this pleading with the Lord, or pleading with the congregation, because these four got it. These four already said, you know what? Last time you guys murmured like this about some flesh, we ate flesh for a whole month till it was coming out our nostrils. You murmuring like this and making a big deal. Now what is going to happen when the Lord gets wind of this, when he hears? Verse 10.
But all the congregation bade stone them with stones.
They were going to stone them. They wanted to stone Moses and Aaron, Caleb and Joshua. They wanted to stone them over this. Go ahead.
And the glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel.
So here comes the Lord now. He done had enough. He done heard all this goings on. He gave Moses and Aaron, Caleb and Joshua a chance to talk some sense into these children. They wouldn't listen. They about got stoned. So now here comes the glory of the Lord. Here he comes. What do you got to say?
And the Lord said unto Moses, how long will this people provoke me? And how long will it be ere they believe me? For all the signs which I have showed among them.
So how long is these people going to provoke me? How long I got to deal with these hard-headed, stiff-necked Israelites? Something else. I'm telling you, we are something else. We are some people, boy. I don't know what this, man. So how long I got to suffer these fools? Verse 12.
I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and will make of thee a greater nation and mightier than they.
so he look here, Moses. I'm gonna kill all of them. I'm gonna start over with you. And I'm not fooling with these people no more. I've had enough of them. He's reached his limit. Verse 13.
And Moses said unto the Lord, then the Egyptians shall hear it, for they broughtest up this people in thy might from among them.
See, and thank the Lord for a person like Moses, right, that can plead and intercede for us like that. Right. That's why he's a prototype for Jesus. You understand? You understand what you're seeing? Yeah. What you're reading here? It takes somebody like this, because I couldn't have done it. No way. I'm like, sayonara, and I'm out. He just had to wipe them out. Where you at?
14.
Read it.
And they will tell it to the inhabitants of this land, for they have heard that thou, Lord, art among this people, that thou, Lord, art seen face to face, and that thy cloud standeth over them, and that thou goest before them by daytime in a pillar of a cloud, and in a pillar of fire by night.
So Moses reasoning with them. You can't do this, Lord, because the Egyptians will hear it, and they'll say, you just took these people out in the land with all that might that you showed just so you could kill them. Verse 15.
Now if thou shalt kill all this people as one man, then the nations which have heard the fame of thee will speak, saying, because the Lord was not able to bring this people into the land which he sware unto them, therefore he hath slain them in the wilderness.
So it would look bad to these other nations. The Lord brought these people out of the land, out of slavery, and he couldn't even handle them. I mean, what's that say about us? Well, the Lord couldn't even handle us. But he said, you can't do this. Verse 17.
And now I beseech thee, let the power of my Lord be great, according as thou hast spoken, saying,
come on.
The Lord is long-suffering, and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation.
And so Moses pleads with them, that the Lord is long-suffering, and praise God that he is long-suffering. with great mercy, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty. So he's not just going to pardon the sins and you don't have to say something about it. You're going to have to answer for those things that you did. So he by no means is clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation, which is why we're in America speaking English. So, verse 19.
Pardon, I beseech thee, the iniquity of this people according unto the greatness of thy mercy, and as thou hast forgiven this people from Egypt even until now. And the Lord said, I have pardoned according to thy word.
So the Lord hearkened unto Moses' word. He said, I have pardoned according to thy word. Go ahead.
But as truly as I live,
all
the earth.
When he make a statement like that, you know something is coming. But as truly as I live, just as certainly as I'm standing before you, he's saying. Go ahead.
All the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord. Because all those men which have seen my glory and my miracles, which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have tempted me now these 10 times, have not hearkened to my voice.
So these men which have seen my glory, seen these miracles, and have tempted me now these 10 times. And he's literal about that. There was actually 10 times. From the time that they left Egypt, the time they got to the Red Sea, up to this point, exactly 10 times that they tempted the Lord. I went through and I found all of them. We can go through them each one and question and answer if you want. But I got them. And that's a beautiful thing about the Lord. He's exact. I'm gonna say he is precise, but he said 10 times, and he meant 10 times. And ye have not hearkened to my voice. Verse 23.
Surely they shall not see the land which I swear unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoke me see it.
So this is that equivalent to the flesh coming out your nostrils punishment. Now you're not even, that land that you were afraid to go to, all right, now you ain't going to see it. You are not going over there. You will not go to possess it. Go ahead.
But my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with them, and hath followed me fully.
He followed him because he had another spirit, and he followed him what?
Him fully.
He wasn't half-stepping, was he? And that's what the Lord wants. That's the kind of servants the Lord wants. People that ain't half-stepping, that's not playing. Either you're going to do this thing or you're not. It's just that simple. Go ahead.
Him will I bring into the land whereinto he went, and his seed shall possess it.
And he made that promise good. He makes that promise good. I can't remember exactly how many years after this exactly it is, but he makes this promise good. Keep going.
Now the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwelt in the valley. Tomorrow turn you and get you into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea.
Okay, so now the Lord's saying, now the Amalekites, they're on the other side. Remember I said, they're on this side in Kadesh Barnea. All they had to do was cross over the mountain, and there's the land of the Canaan. Well, on the other side of that mountain are these Amalekites. So he's saying now, you're not going to cross over. Now I want you to turn back around and go back to the Red Sea. Go back towards the Red Sea. Where you at?
26.
Verse 26. So yeah. So tomorrow turn you and get you back, get you into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. Verse 26.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, how long shall I bear with this evil congregation, which murmur against me? I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel, which they murmur against me.
Come on.
Say unto them, as truly as I live, saith the Lord, as ye have spoken in mine ear, so will I do to you.
Okay, so remember all that, how you brought our children to be a prey and a spoil and all that. There was popping off earlier. So he's saying, all right, I'm going to do to you as you have spoken. Go ahead.
Your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness.
Oh, surely not. Oh man, your carcasses shall surely fall in this wilderness. Go ahead.
And all that were numbered of you, according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me. 20 years old and upward. That's what we get the age of accountability for. 20 years and up. So anybody 20 years and up, besides Caleb and Joshua, Moses and Aaron at this point, are going to fall in this wilderness because of this murmuring. But go ahead. Doubtless ye shall not come into the land, concerning which I swear to make you dwell therein. save Caleb the son of Jephunneh and Joshua the son of Nun. But your little ones, which ye said shall be a prey, them will I bring in, and they shall know the land which ye have despised. But as for you, your carcasses shall fall in the wilderness.
If I was Moses and Aaron, I would have been like, why do you keep mentioning Joshua and Caleb here? Because Moses hadn't beat on the rock and got in trouble yet. I'd be like, well, wait, why you keep, here, I'm going too, ain't I? Go ahead.
33. And your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years, and bear your whoredoms, until your carcasses be wasted in the wilderness.
So 40 days, so 40 years. So if you ever wondered why they got 40 years to wander around, it's 40 days, 1 year for each day that the spies were out spying out the land, doing reconnaissance. So 1 year for each day. So they were there 40 days. Now they got 40 years for that time. Go ahead.
34. After the number of the days in which ye searched the land, even 40 days, each day for a year, shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and ye shall know my breach of promise. And I, the Lord, have said, I will surely do it unto all this evil congregation that are gathered together against me. In this wilderness they shall be consumed, and there they shall die. So in this wilderness they shall be consumed, and there they shall die. Now picture this, all right? Like I said, this is 1490 BC. Less than 2 years, or about 2 years, from the time they left Egypt till the time that they get to Kadesh Barnea, to where all they got to do is obey the Lord and go over into the promised land. Less than 2 years away from paradise. They couldn't even, they messed that up in 2 years. They get there, can see the land, know it's right there, and they start that murmuring again and messed it all up. Just couldn't do it. They just couldn't be right for just a few, maybe a day longer. They just couldn't be right and messed up. And it makes me think, Adam and Eve. Now they're created on the 6th day, right? Now I don't know. We can't say how long they would have lived had they not messed up. But if they had not messed up, they had it made. They'd have been gods, right? So if a day is 1,000 years to the Lord, or 1,000 years is a day to the Lord, they could have lived that day, maybe 1,000 years, and they would have been gods. All they had to do was just not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and they would have it. They were right there, is what my point. They were right there, and they could have been gods. These guys are right there. They could have made it to the promised land, but they couldn't control their mouth. They couldn't control their murmuring. And in that 2 years, they traded for 40 years in the wilderness. Terrible, terrible mistake. Go ahead, where you at? 36.
36.
And the men which Moses sent to search the land, who returned and made all the congregation to murmur against him, by bringing up a slander upon the land. Even those men that did bring up the evil report upon the land died by the plague before the Lord. So the Lord did not clear the guilty, did he? He got those guys that did the most murmuring, they got everybody else stirred up, and they died. They died by the plague before the Lord. Verse 38. But Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, which were of the men that went to search the land, lived still. And Moses told these sayings until all the children of Israel, and the people mourned greatly. And they rose up early in the morning. Okay, so the people, it says, and Moses told these sayings unto all the children of Israel, and the people mourned greatly, right? So they hear that they're not going into the land. Now we got to wander around for 40 years in the wilderness till we die. And the people mourn greatly. I'd mourn too, right? We'd all probably be upset and sad, right? Right? Okay. So he said, where were you at? Verse 40. Okay, verse 40. He said, and they rose up early in the morning. They rose up early in the morning. You think now, since you just the night previously, you're mourning, you rise up early in the morning and you start praying and asking for forgiveness to the Lord. Please forgive us for all this murmuring and try to get the Lord to change his mind, right? At least that's what I would be doing. After I know I done messed up, I'm on my knees asking, Lord, change this, please, right? Let's see if that's what they do.
Go ahead. Start at the top.
And they rose up early in the morning and gat them up into the top of the mountain, saying,
Please, Lord, forgive us.
Lo, we be here, and will go up into the place which the Lord hath promised, for we have sinned. And Moses said, Wherefore now do you transgress the commandment of the Lord, but it shall not prosper.
So they said, we're going to go on over there anyway. Basically is what they're saying. I don't care what the Lord said. Well, I'm going over there anyway. Are you kidding me? They were that hard-headed and stiff-necked. That's amazing to me. Absolutely amazing. But Moses told them, wherefore now do you transgress the commandment of the Lord, but it shall not prosper. You're not going to prosper. Go ahead.
42. Go not up, for the Lord is not among you.
That should have been enough. The Lord is not with you on this. Go ahead.
That ye be not smitten before your enemies. For the Amalekites and the Canaanites are there before you, and ye shall fall by the sword, because ye are turned away from the Lord. Therefore the Lord will not be with you.
Now how does that happen? Okay, when they knew the Lord was with them, they had no courage. But now the Lord is against them. Now you want to get all puffed up. Come on. Keep going.
But they presumed to go up unto the hilltop. Nevertheless, the ark of the covenant of the Lord and Moses departed not out of the camp. Then the Amalekites came down, and the Canaanites which dwelt in that hill, and smote them, and discomfited them, even unto Hormah.
So they got their tails whipped. They got whipped. Then they could have went in there and took them all out. They murmured, got the Lord against them, tried to go over there on their own. And what happens when you try to do things on your own without the Lord? Don't work, does it? It'll never work. You try to do your own thing, it's not going to work. And they got their tails slapped. All right. That's it, right? Okay. Deuteronomy 1. So that's 1490 BC to 1451 BC is 39 years, 39 years. Now we're got to get to that 40th year. All right, Deuteronomy. Or we got to see where that 40th year is. Deuteronomy 1, and we're going to pick it up at 34. Deuteronomy 1. What did I go to 34? Deuteronomy 1 and 34. All right, brother, go ahead.
And the Lord heard the voice of your words, and was wroth, and sware, saying, Surely there shall not one of these men of this evil generation see that good land, which I swear to give unto your fathers. Okay, so we're getting kind of a summary of events here, retold again here in Deuteronomy 1. Go ahead. Saith Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, he shall see it, and to him will I give the land that he hath trodden upon, and to his children, because he hath wholly followed the Lord. Also the Lord was angry with me for your sake, saying, Thou also shalt not go in thither. But Joshua, the son of Nun, which standeth before thee, he shall go in thither. Encourage him, for he shall cause Israel to inherit it. Moreover, your little ones, which he said should be a prey, and your children, which in that day had no knowledge between good and evil, they shall go in thither, and unto them will I give it, and they shall possess it. Okay, so the Lord's saying, Joshua the son of Nun, he's going to make it. He's going to go in there before thee. He shall go in thither. Encourage him, it says. Encourage him, for he shall cause Israel to inherit it. Because of his faith and his strength, he's going to save Israel. Remember, that's why Moses changed his name from the Lord is salvation. Because Joshua's strength is going to save Israel. Where we at? 40. Verse 40, go ahead. But as for you, turn you, and take your journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. Then ye answered and said unto me, We have sinned against the Lord, we will go up and fight, according to all that the Lord our God commanded us. And when ye had girded on every man his weapons of war, ye were ready to go up into the hill. So we have sinned against the Lord, and we will go up and fight according to all that the Lord our God commanded us. And when ye have girded on every man his weapon of war, and ready to go up the hill, go ahead. And the Lord said unto me, say unto them, Go not up, neither fight, for I am not among you, lest ye be smitten before your enemies. So I spake unto you, and you would not hear, but rebelled against the commandment of the Lord, and went presumptuously up into the hill. And the Amorites which dwelt in the mountain came out against you and chased you, as bees do, and destroyed you in Seir, even unto Hormah.
They chased them off like bees. The Lord is cold, man. Chased them off like bees and destroyed you in Seir, it says. Go ahead.
And ye returned and wept before the Lord, but the Lord would not hearken to your voice.
No, he put in his earphones. He done listening. He put the earphones in. And he's on the iPod. He ain't even heard. He probably didn't even see you get chased off by the bees. All that dis. You can go and do your own thing. See what happens. So they returned and wept before the Lord, and he did not hearken. 46.
So ye abode in Kadesh many days, according unto the days that ye abode there.
So they abode in Kadesh many days. Many days. So that's going to be about, I think that's, well, that definitely starts the 40 years that they are going to be in the desert, in the wilderness, and to drop dead. So, 46, Deuteronomy 2. Deuteronomy 2 and 14. I feel like I missed something in there. Let me see. There was a point that needed to be made. Bear with me just a second here. Okay. Deuteronomy 2, verse 14. All right, go ahead.
And the space in which we came from Kadesh Barnea until we were come over the brook Zered was 38 years, until all the generation of the men of war were wasted out from among the hosts, as the Lord sware unto them.
Okay, so it says, in the space which we camped in Kadesh Barnea until the time that they went over the brook Zered. So I forget exactly where the brook Zered runs. I believe I know it borders, I'm pretty sure it borders Edom. It's somewhere around Edom. So they wandered around in that space for 40 years, from Kadesh Barnea down to Ezin Gaber, which is at the very top of that split in the Gulf, the very top. And they kind of wandered around that circuit for 38 years. Now remember, they already did 2 years getting there, right? So this is where you get your 40 years, the extra 40 years. Or no, let me be wrong on that. They already did 2 years, so it's actually going to be 40. The whole time that they're in the wilderness, in that whole total trip, is 42 years, or 40 plus years. But they got this 38 years to wander, and then by the time they get to where we get to the end of this, where we're trying to get to Jordan, that will be a total of 40 years. So that'll be another 2 years yet. That's how it goes. All right. Where are we at?
Numbers 20.
Numbers 20. Numbers 20. All right. Numbers 20. Now, most of you are familiar with this chapter, so I won't make him read it all. But there are some key points here to back up what I said earlier. Numbers 20, verse 1. Read that.
Then came the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, into the desert of Zin in the first month. And the people abode in Kadesh. And Miriam died there and was buried there.
Okay, so key points here. The children of Israel, the whole congregation, into the desert of Zin, in the first month. So in the first month from them coming out from Kadesh Barnea to serve this 40-year sentence in the desert. Okay, the desert of Zin. And Miriam died there. Okay, Miriam dies there. Verse 2.
And there was no water for the congregation, and they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron.
Okay, so we know, Miriam dies here, and there is no water. So we know in this chapter, the next thing here is going to talk about the water from the rock here, right? Okay, and this is what I was saying. This is actually the second time that they got water from a rock. And the key to understanding that, they're here, they are in the wilderness, in the desert of Zin, near Kadesh. Skip down to, verse 3. Did you read that?
Skip to 13.
Where am I at? Okay. Yeah, skip to 13. Skip to verse 13. Go ahead.
This is the water of Meribah, because the children of Israel strove with the Lord, and he was sanctified in them.
Okay, so this is the water of Meribah, however you pronounce it. That means, Meribah means rebellion. It simply means rebellion. This is the water of rebellion because the children of Israel strove with the Lord, and he was sanctified in them. Skip down to 22? No. Oh, we keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right, keep going. Verse 14.
And Moses sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom. Thus saith thy brother Israel, thou knowest all the travail that have befallen us.
Okay, so now we're moving on. They're going to move. They're going to continue. So this was at the end when at the time when Miriam died. That was she died in roughly 1452, 1451 BC. So we're at the very end of the sentence, the 40-year sentence. Okay, right? Everybody understands that? Okay, so now they're at the end of the sentence, and now they are getting Moses is sending a messenger to Edom, the king of Edom, so that they can see if they can pass through their land. Did you finish 14?
Yeah.
15.
How our fathers went down into Egypt, and we have dwelt in Egypt a long time. And the Egyptians vexed us and our fathers. And when we have cried unto the Lord, he heard our voice, and sent an angel, and hath brought us forth out of Egypt. And behold, we are in Kadesh, a city in the uttermost of thy border. Let us pass, I pray thee, through thy country. We will not pass through the fields, or through the vineyards, neither will we drink of the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway. We will not turn to the right hand, nor to the left, until we have passed thy border. Okay, so Moses sends this letter to the king, and he's breaking it down to the king what has transpired. You know, we were in Egypt. We were slaves in Egypt. The Lord brought us out. Now he's promised us this land. We just want to pass through your land to get to the land that has been promised us. He says, we won't even drink your water. We won't eat your meat. We'll just pass. We'll go along the king's highway. The king's highway was a trade route, that everybody used. So it was a well-known passage. And Israel just says, we just want to get on the king's highway and keep on trucking, keep on moving through. Verse 18. And Edom said unto him, thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come out against thee with the sword.
So our brother said, no, don't come out, or don't come in my land, or I'm going to break the sword out on you. Verse 19.
And the children of Israel said unto him, we will go by the highway, and if I and my cattle drink of thy water, then I will pay for it. I will only, without doing anything else, go through on my feet. And he said, thou shalt not go through. And Edom came out against him with much people, and with the strong hand. Thus Edom refused to give Israel passage through his border, wherefore Israel turned away from him. So Edom flatly refused passage. Which is going to get him in trouble later on. It's going to get him in a lot of trouble. Verse 22. And the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, journeyed from Kadesh and came unto Mount Hor. So so Edom deterred them this time. And so they went on down from Kadesh down to Mount Hor. All right. So now let us go back to Numbers 33, right? Yeah. And look at the log again. Numbers 33. Verse 37. Numbers 33 and verse 7. Go ahead. And they removed from Kadesh and pitched in Mount Hor, in the edge of the land of Edom. Okay, so they're pitched in Mount Hor, which is right at the bottom part. If you look at your maps, they're right at the bottom part of Edom. That's where they're camped out at now. Okay, so let us go now to Deuteronomy 2 and 1. So now we're on the journey from Kadesh to Jordan, from where they were at the bottom part of the mount, at the southern border of the land of Canaan. Now we're trying to make our way around the Dead Sea to where the River Jordan is at, to cross over Jordan. So they got to go all the way around now to get to Jordan. All right, so now let's go to where we at? Deuteronomy 2.
and verse 1. Deuteronomy 2 and verse 1. All right, brother, get it.
Then we turned and took our journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea, as the Lord spake unto me. And we compassed Mount Seir many days.
Okay, so remember, when they murmured and the Lord got upset, he said, turn back and go by the way of the Red Sea, right? So now, here in 2:1, he says, then we turned back, then we turned and took our journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. And so they were around, it says they compassed Mount Seir many days. So they're around Mount Seir, which is at the border of Edom, the land of Edom. They're there for quite a few days. Now let's go to back to Numbers 20. Back to Numbers 20, and we're going to pick it up after the water incident. And verse 23. Numbers 20 and verse 23. You go ahead and pick it up at 22. That just confirms where we're at. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, journeyed from Kadesh and came unto Mount Hor. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in Mount Hor by the coast of the land of Edom, saying, Aaron shall be gathered unto his people, for he shall not enter into the land which I have given unto the children of Israel, because ye rebelled against my word at the water of Meribah.
Okay, so now we understand where we're at, right? So he's letting Moses and Aaron know you guys ain't going to make it into the kingdom, into the land of Canaan, because of the incident at Meribah with the water from the rock incident. Verse 25.
Take Aaron and Eleazar his son, and bring them up unto Mount Hor, and strip Aaron of his garments, and put them upon Eleazar his son, and Aaron shall be gathered unto his people, and shall die there.
Man, can you picture that? Take Aaron and Eleazar and bring them up to the Mount Hor, and then he's going to strip them. You ain't got to stand there while your garments are stripped off. I couldn't have done that either. I've been, I don't want to die. Taking my clothes. So they stripped him there. And they put him on Eleazar, verse 27.
And Moses did as the Lord commanded. And they went up into Mount Hor in the sight of all the congregation. And Moses stripped Aaron of his garments and put them up upon Eleazar his son. And Aaron died there in the top of the mount. And Moses and Eleazar came down from the mount. And when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, they mourned for Aaron 30 days, even all the house of Israel.
So Aaron dies, and I always wondered, did the Lord just kill him, or did he just, how Aaron's death transpired there? Scripture doesn't give us the answer to that, but it just always makes me wonder. But Aaron, he dies here. He's 123 years of age when he dies here. 123. So, and then they mourn. It says they mourn here at the Mount Hor. They're at Mount Hor, and they mourn here 30 days for Aaron. Let's go into Numbers 33. Let's go back to the law. 33 and 38. Numbers 33, verse 38. All right, brother, go ahead.
And Aaron the priest went up into Mount Hor at the commandment of the Lord, and died there, in the 40th year after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt, in the first day of the 5th month.
Okay, so now, again, we're getting the timeline here. We're getting the timeline together. And what helps put this together, like especially with the age has helped to keep you straight with the timeline. That's how you can be precise and know when these events are occurring, what year it is when these events are occurring. So now we are at the end of the 40 years, right? It said in the 40th year, after the children of Israel will come out of the land of Egypt, in the first day of the 5th month, and Aaron has died. So this makes it 1440 or 1451 BC. Go ahead, verse 39.
And Aaron was 123 years old when he died in Mount Hor.
So he's 123 years of age when he dies in Mount Hor. Okay. Deuteronomy 10. Wow, we're almost done. Deuteronomy 10. And we're going to pick it up. Deuteronomy 10, we're going to pick it up in verse 6. Deuteronomy 10, verse 6. All right, go ahead.
And the children of Israel took their journey from Beeroth of the children of Jachin to Moserah. There Aaron died, and there he was buried. In
Okay, so one thing I want to point out here, because if you study the scriptures, you'll see sometimes different names for different places. But they're at Aaron. We just read Aaron died at the Mount Hor, right? There's also a city there. It's called Moserah. So that is the place where Aaron was buried. That's where he died. That's where he's buried at, in Moserah. But go ahead, finish that.
There Aaron died, and there he was buried. And Eleazar, his son, ministered in the priest's office in his stead. From thence they journeyed unto Gudgodah, and from Gudgodah to Jotbath, a land of rivers and waters.
Okay, so now they're journeying from there to Gudgodah to Jotbath. All right, so now let's go to Numbers 20. Numbers 20 and 29. We're trying to get to Jordan. Numbers 20, one verse here, verse 29. All right, go ahead.
And when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, they mourned for Aaron 30 days.
Okay, I don't know why I put that there. 33, Numbers 33 and 40. I guess I'm just making sure you got that. 33 and 40. Numbers 33 and 40. Oh, this is what I was looking for earlier. Okay. Numbers 33, verse 40. Read that.
And King Arad, the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south of the land of Canaan, heard of the coming of the children of Israel.
Okay, so the king of Arad, the Canaanite. Now you remember when Israel was murmuring and it escalated to the point where the Lord got tired of it and said, all right, I've had enough. And he said, don't go over there. If you go over there, you're going to get killed. Yeah. And then the Amorites whipped them. Chased him like Beza said. Okay, this king Arad, the Canaanite, this is that king that whipped him. This is that king that whipped him. Okay. Numbers 21 and verse 1. Numbers 21 and verse 1. And 1. All right, go ahead.
And when King Arad, the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south, heard tell that Israel came by the way of the spies, then he fought against Israel and took some of them prisoners.
Okay, so now this is not that same battle, right? This is after the 40 years have expired. Now they're going, making their trip to the land of Jordan now, and now this king Arad has heard that Israel has come by way of spies, so he went down there and fought with them, and he was able to take some of them prisoner. Verse 2.
And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord and said, if thou wilt indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities. Okay, so now Israel's making a vow, and apparently this is one of those times when Israel was doing things right. And they petition the Lord, and the Lord will hearken and listen to them this time. Verse 3. And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Israel, and delivered up the Canaanite, and they utterly destroyed them in their cities. And he called the name of the place Hormah. So now, Israel got that get back. They got some get back on the king of the Canaanites. The Lord hearkened to them. Where are we at? Okay, so the Lord hearkened to them, and so they were able to get back where. Did I miss something? Okay, that's 3. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're able to defeat the Canaanites, and this begins the victorious journey. I'm gonna say it. The series of battles in which Israel is now able to be victorious because they are doing everything that the Lord said, and the Lord is behind them now. And so, just like he said, just like here, they made this vow. The Lord hearkened to them because they're doing what the Lord said. And so if the Lord is with you, then who can be against you, right? Let's read Romans 8 and 31. Romans 8 and 31. and 31. Go ahead.
What shall we then say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us?
And so in conclusion, so it does not pay, obviously, to go off and do your own thing. Do those things that you know are the will of God. Stand strong in the Lord and the power of his might. And if he's with you, then no one can be against you. And I hope you got some understanding in Jesus' name.